Welcome to the very first masterclass that I am doing in 2024. I am aiming to do one of these every single month for the remainder of the year, other than May, because I am pretty busy in May. So I won't be doing one there. But other than that, I'm aiming to do a masterclass every month for the remainder of this year, roughly around 30 minutes long, to go into depth on one aspect that people are often struggling with their health and fitness. And from all the conversations that I've been having with execs, founders, owners, directors, and just high performing professionals, the number one barrier that they're facing is time. Hence why that is what this whole masterclass is going to be about. Let's try and break down that very first barrier so that it becomes a hell of a lot easier to implement all of the steps that I will talk about on my LinkedIn, on my YouTube, and in these masterclasses. So, this masterclass is all about the 3 easy steps to implement quick, effective exercise. It's about looking at your schedule, looking at the time that you have available to you, and manipulating it in a way that suits you better so you can prioritize your health, your fitness, without having to sacrifice all the things that you are already doing. So, before we get into anything like that, you might be thinking, who the hell are you? Well, it's a fair question because this is the first masterclass I've done on YouTube. And I'm going to start from a professional perspective because I've not always been an executive health coach. I actually started out as a performance analyst. So basically, I watched football for a living and told the manager how the opposition we were going to play actually plays. And I did that in a number of leagues. I did that for a number of clubs. I worked for Rotherham, I worked for Sunderland, and I finished off with Huddersfield Town, where we had one excellent year in the Premier League. Second year, not so much with relegation, but experienced like a load of different fantastic things when working in football. However, in 2020, I became a personal trainer for many reasons. But I was kind of your classic personal trainer, shall we say, like in the gym with clients, spending an hour working on their exercise and essentially counting for them. And I enjoyed it, but it wasn't until 2023, so January of last year, where I moved to purely remote, purely online coaching because I realized that I could help more people and be more efficient with my time. You'll see a theme, be more efficient with my time and help more people if I worked remotely. Instead of spending an hour with one person in the gym, I could spend an hour talking to 3 of my clients, not just helping them with exercise, but helping them with their nutrition, their sleep, their stress management, and all these other aspects that come with health and fitness. So that's where we are today. However, more importantly, I understand the struggle because I have been there myself many times on my own health journey. So in 2013, I left uni. I was the heaviest I've ever been. I was 16, maybe 16 and a half stone. Can't tell you what that is in pounds or kilos, but they were heavy. And the worst thing was I had no idea what to do to get myself back to where I wanted to be. And this is coming from a guy who regularly played rugby, did athletics, played a little bit of basketball. And not only that, I did a 3-year sports coaching degree. So you'd think I'd be fairly well set up to know how to get healthy again. But no, I had no idea. So I tried lots of fad diets. I tried shred programs, all these things that you typically go to get results. If you've ever heard of the Insanity program, this guy did it. And it worked, as you can see from that top right photo. But it didn't work for long. And it put me in this situation where I was constantly yo-yoing. I was tracking my calories on MyFitnessPal. I was restricting them down. I was removing all my favorite foods. I was doing loads of exercise in a bid to get myself back to the shape in that top right corner. And it would only lead to short-term results or short-term actions because it wasn't sustainable. Eventually, it would give way. I would binge and I'd end up exactly back where I started. As you can see from that photo in the bottom left, I didn't exactly stay the lean guy that you see in the top right. It came back on. I lost it again. It came back on. I lost it again. I was constantly in the cycle. However, where I am now is very different. 3 years or so ago, I changed my mindset. And this is what really drove me to become an executive health coach via that personal trainer route. Because now I am not the leanest I have ever been. However, I can do everything that I want when I want to and because I enjoy it. So I can lift heavy things and stay injury free because I enjoy lifting heavy things. I can do a total warrior, I believe that one was. I can do a 12-kilometer total warrior and I can run most of the thing and do all of the obstacles without training because I am constantly doing things that I want to do when I want to, and most importantly, because I enjoy them. So now I'm the healthiest I've ever been. I'm the strongest I've ever been. Not necessarily the leanest, but that doesn't matter to me anymore because it's about what I'm capable of doing as opposed to how I look. And for me, that's what health and fitness is about, especially for executives, directors, founders, and owners, where it's all about your energy levels, your focus, your productivity. How you feel dictates how you perform. And that brings us on to you because this isn't about me. This is about you. And if you are here, then the chances are this is you. You're a busy business leader. So that is an executive, a director, maybe a business owner, a founder, or even just a high professional who's spending a lot of their time slogging to create a successful business and a successful life for themselves. And that means long days of intense work, all to create the success that you want so that you can provide the lifestyle that you've wanted for you and your family. And this means that work is your number one priority. Most of your time is spent on work. The rest of it goes on your family or your social life. But that means you don't have time for your health. And it might not seem like a bad thing to begin with. It might seem like you can cope. But over time, you notice yourself getting more lethargic. Your energy levels just plummet. Your mood is always low. You're always in a bad mood. And you're taking that home to your family. And it's coming across to your employees or colleagues. You can feel the clothes that you wear on a day-to-day basis are getting tighter. And that knocks your confidence, not just your confidence in yourself, but it's visible to your colleagues or employees when you are up there taking meetings. You don't feel comfortable standing in front of people anymore. But worst of all, not prioritizing health leads to burnout. It gets to the point where you simply can't carry on with what you are doing from a work perspective day in, day out. And when you can't carry it on, you lose that thing that you've been working so hard for. You lose that lifestyle, you lose that income that is your sole focus, that is your main drive to do everything. And that's what we want to avoid. All of this is what we want to avoid, but we want to keep you working in a more healthy, efficient, effective way so you can enjoy the lifestyle that you're wanting to create and actually have more time to enjoy it with. So, how do we do that? Well, the 3 easy steps that we're going to take today are going to put you in a position where you can start prioritizing your health. First and foremost, we're going to look at optimizing your schedule to give you clarity on where you can free up time for your health without sacrificing anything. We're not taking things away that are important to you. Second, we're going to look at boosting your productivity, which is essentially creating more time to do the things you love, but we're creating it by making you more efficient in your day-to-day activities, the stuff that you are doing at work or doing in your family and personal life. Then after that, we are going to look at time hacking your exercise. So I will show you 3 effective workout strategies that will make you more efficient with your exercise in the time that you have available. And all of this means your energy and productivity will double. You'll start feeling comfortable and confident in your clothes again. And that confidence will translate into your meetings, your presentations, your sales, whatever it is, so that you are performing better in business, you are earning more money, and more importantly, you have more free time to enjoy that money with the people you care about. So without further ado, let's get into the very first step. You will notice a theme throughout this. I love a quote. So we are starting off each of the steps with a quote. And this one's from Stephen Covey, author of 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Hope I'm getting that right. Sometimes my memory is terrible. But the quote is, the key is not to prioritize what's on your schedule, but to schedule your priorities. And that is powerful because in today's world, our schedule seems to be run by other people. Like other people can just drop meetings in and drop calls and drop tasks into it for us to complete. And it's very easy to fall into this pattern of, oh, I've got to do this because they put it on my schedule. I've got to do this because they put it on my schedule. And we lose focus of what's important to us in order to make us perform most effectively in business, but also in our family lives. Instead, what we want to do is schedule our priorities, not prioritize. And this means putting in the things that are important to us in our schedule first. And then if people want to add meetings, add tasks, they do it around that. And we want to put them in a specific order, which I'm going to talk through now. We start off with essentials. Essentials on this photo that you can maybe see, maybe can't, is the green bits. It's essentially your sleep, and your eating times. The things that if you did not do, you would not be here to live the life that you want to live. They are essential for you to live. So this is not about filling it in on what your ideal would be. It's about filling in where you are now. Changing schedule can come later down the line if you get to that point. But right now, it's about knowing where we are spending our time and looking at the options available to us. So we put our sleep in, that's going to bed and waking up. We put our breakfast, lunch, evening meal, if we are consistent with those. As you can see from mine, I don't have a lunch or an evening meal on a weekend because typically they will move around a bit. But weekdays I'm consistent and breakfast I'm consistent throughout the week. Then we put in non-negotiables. So if you are in an employed role, one of your non-negotiables is probably going to be your work hours. Typically it's a 9 to 5 or a half 8 to half 4, whatever people work. But if you're an employed role, chances are you can't change that. You can't go to your boss and be like, you know what, I want to look after my health. I want to change my working pattern. That's completely different to everyone else's. So that's a non-negotiable. That goes in. And we block out time. If you are self-employed, you own your business, and you have more flexibility, then what we want to do is put your important work tasks in your high-performing areas. Some people perform really well from like 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. Some people perform really well from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Other people work really well in the afternoon. You likely know where you are with that. So if you have flexibility, put your important work tasks, the ones that require most focus, in those areas where you are most productive. From there, add in all your other tasks that you're going to need to complete. Another area of non-negotiables are kind of family and social events. So let's say you have kids and they have after school clubs that you want to take them to, then that goes in as a non-negotiable. If you have your own after work activities or social events at the weekend or whatever that you always want to go with, then they go in as a non-negotiable. As you can see from mine, the non-negotiables are reds. From there, we want to add in repeatables. Now, these are things that we just need to do, but they're not requiring like a massive amount of focus. So for argument's sake, it could be a weekly shop. It could be cleaning the house. All of these things that we do maybe once a day or once a week, once a fortnight, whatever it is, we want to put them in as well to remember to do them. For mine, these are in yellow. As you can see from like the Sunday, for example, I've got my weekly shopping. Now, unlike most coaches, it's only now that I would suggest adding in health habits. And I say that because most coaches will be like, health is a non-negotiable. It should be in there early. And I do agree. Health is a non-negotiable. However, this isn't about trying to move your schedule around and force it in. It's about looking at what your schedule looks like right now and identifying where it could go in. So now is where we say, okay, where are my blank spaces? Where could I fit something in? As an example, you can see the purple around 7:30 on mine. I noticed that between sleep and working, I didn't have anything in. And I didn't have anything in because I wanted to put work that I could focus on early on, but I wasn't focused when I first got up. So I thought to myself, that is time that I actually have free. I'm going to put in a walk. That is my health habit. And that just makes it so easy because it's part of my routine. I wake up, I go for a walk, I go into my work. Rather than trying to make myself work when I'm not focused, when I'm still a little bit dazed, I go for a walk. It helps wake me up. And as you can see, there are lots of other spaces that I have in that diary where I would typically then fit in my exercise. For some of you, you might not have a diary as open, but the key is to identify where you do have time and put something in. And that leads us on to step number 2, boosting your productivity. No idea who said this, as you can tell from the anonymous. But the quote is, your future is created by what you do today, not tomorrow. And this kind of goes for a lot of things. I put it in with the productivity side of things because it's true. What you do today is going to impact where you go. If you say to yourself, I will do that tomorrow, chances are it doesn't get done because it keeps getting put off. And if you are working on something that you just think, you know what, I'll finish this tomorrow, then it drags out. And we don't get to where we want to go as quickly because we are letting ourselves kind of open up more time to finish off these tasks when we really should be more productive, get it done in the here and now, because the future that we're looking to create comes quicker because of it. And through this, I want to give you my big three productivity tools. And When it comes to productivity, these, for me, have to be relevant to all areas of life. I'm not going to give you something that makes you productive with your health and fitness, but actually is useless anywhere else. So these are relevant to health and business. And the first is the Pareto principle, otherwise known as the 80-20 rule. But it's not the same 80-20 rule that you often hear from a health and fitness perspective. The Pareto principle states that 20% of the work we do yields 80% of the results. But the key is not just any work. It's 20% of our actions are the most important, they yield the biggest results. And the point of this is to really hone in on those 20%. Rather than all these tasks, whether it's sending out emails, catching up after meetings, having meetings, and then your marketing and your sales. We know from a building business perspective, the marketing and the sales are the things that are going to yield the biggest results. So we really dive in on those. They are the 20% actions that are going to yield 80% of the results for the business. And it's the same in health and fitness. You could look at your exercise. You could look at your non-exercise activity. You could look at your nutrition, hydration, stress, sleep, gut health. All of these things will improve health. But when you look at them as a whole, it's overwhelming. When I work with my clients, the first thing I say to them is we're only going to focus on three. We're going to focus on your exercise, your nutrition, and your sleep. Because those three are my 20% actions. Those three are what are going to yield 80% of the results. It's not to say we don't look at these things. It's just that when we are getting those results and when we're seeing 80% results, we have more energy, we have more time, we have more focus to be able to put into these things. But we don't begin with them. And that's where we want to be from a business perspective as well. The second one is eat the frog. And I believe that the principle is if it was your job to eat a frog every day, do it first thing. Because it's a horrible task. Who wants to eat a frog? And if you don't do it first thing, you say, oh, I'll do it here when I've got a bit of time. And it gets to that point, you're like, I'll do it later. I'll do it later. It keeps getting put off. Whereas if you do it first thing, then it's out of the way. The rest of the day is easy. From a business perspective, if I give a personal example, I do a lot of my lead generation on LinkedIn. It requires DMing people. It requires comments to create engagement. It requires sending out connection requests. It's all the stuff that I didn't get into coaching to do, but it is my 20% actions that are going to yield 80% of the results. So I'm picking those 20% actions. They are my frog. I do them first thing. And then the rest of the day is focusing on the stuff that I really enjoy doing. And it can be the same with health and fitness. You can say, I'm going to work out on my lunch break. And then it comes to your lunch, I'm a bit busy. I'll do it after work. Comes to after work, you're like, I'm tired. Maybe I'll just go home, have food first, go to the gym after the kids are in bed. And then the kids are in bed, and you're like, I'm exhausted, I'm not going. Whereas what you could do is say, working out is my frog, it's going in first thing. As part of my routine, I'm going to add it in as the first thing, and the rest of the day is going to feel fantastic because of it. And finally, the third is the Pomodoro method. From a health and fitness standpoint, this has a slightly different name, but we'll talk about that in step 3. But the Pomodoro method is essentially reducing the time frame that we want to work. Parkinson's law, I believe it is, says that we will make our work, or we will take the time to do the work within the time frame we give it. I've butchered that. But basically what I'm saying is if we set ourselves 1 month to do something, it will take us 1 month to do it. If we set ourselves 2 weeks to do that same thing, and our deadline is 2 weeks, then it'll take us 2 weeks. We essentially allow the work to expand to fill the time frame. And what we want to do is really reduce the time frame down, because the narrower the time frame, the more focused and productive you're going to be. And the Pomodoro method is essentially taking these tasks and splitting them down. And we split them down into 25-minute sections. We do 25 minutes, set a timer, and get to work. No distractions. At the end of 25 minutes, take a 5-minute break. Repeat that 3 times. At the end of your third one, take a longer 30-minute break. The aim is to take this work that could expand and fill up a lot of time and really reduce the time frame. Don't get me wrong, you won't do a month's worth of work in 25 minutes, but you will make a huge dent in it by saying, I am working as hard as I can for 25 minutes and then I have a break. I get to come away and just relax for a little bit and then go again. As I say, there is a principle with this in the exercise side of things, but I'll touch on that in step 3. But the best thing about this is, as I say, they all are relevant to business and health, but also they can be used together. So that example from business, my 20% actions are my engagement and DMs on LinkedIn. That is going to build 80% of my business. It is my frog, so I do it first thing. And because I want to be focused, I will set a timer and send as many DMs as I can in 25 minutes, take a break, as many comments as I can in 25 minutes, take a break, etc. They all come together. And because I am more effective and more efficient with those tasks, it gives me more time the rest of the day to do what I need to do. So now we have found more time, we've created more time, we want to fill it with some exercise. And this is exactly what we're going to look at now. And yes, I have quoted myself here. I made up a quote and I thought it was pretty good, so I'm sticking with it. Exercise effectiveness isn't about the time you spend. It is intensity plus specific intent that gets results. And what this means is that you don't have to do 60 to 90 minutes in the gym in order to have effective exercise. It is about having a specific intention of what we're going into the gym or doing a home workout for, and creating the intensity required around it to be effective. So from an intent perspective, we want to look at resistance and cardio. Resistance is about building muscle and getting strong. Yes, there is some aesthetics around it. If we build muscle, we create the shape, the body shape that we want, and it helps with self-confidence. But for me, that's not what's important. If we build muscle and we get strong, we are improving our executive function. So our mind is working better throughout the day. We are improving our energy. We are also improving our robustness, which means we're going to stay injury-free for longer, making it easier to be consistent. But also, we are going to maintain our independence in later life. So you can do all the things you want to do once you're retired and enjoying all the money that you've created for yourself. From a cardio perspective, it's not about fat loss. Cardio does not burn fat. What cardio does is improve your fitness through bettering your health and bettering your heart and lung function. By doing that, it boosts your energy. So you are more kind of on and focused and productive throughout the day, but also it's going to help you live longer. And it's not just living longer for the sake of living longer, it's living longer with better health. So again, you can enjoy the life that you create later on in life for longer and spend more time with your family and spend the money that you've earned going on holidays with them. Now, from an intensity perspective, I'm going to use a business analogy, and I want you to think of the supply and demand curve. And it's probably something you're already familiar with. As supply goes up, demand comes down. As supply goes down, then demand goes up. And this is how we want to think about it from a time and intensity perspective. As our available time goes down, which is probably where you are right now with a busy schedule, then our intensity wants to come up. As our time becomes more available and we have more time, then we don't need as much intensity. But right now, as I say, you are in this position where time is low. So we want intensity. And the next three structures that I'm going to show you provide intensity with a specific intent so that you can start seeing results. The first of those is compound sets. And I recently released a video on my LinkedIn going over this specific compound set, actually. It's also on my YouTube. So if you want a video representation of it, then jump over there and you'll see. But for a compound set, the intent is resistance exercise that we want to do 2 to 3 times a week. When it comes to resistance movements, if we are doing only 2 to 3 times a week, we want to do full body work. Full body work means 4 exercises, 2 lower body, 2 upper body. And specifically, the upper and lowers need to be antagonists. What I mean by that is if we take the lowers, goblet squats and Romanian deadlifts, goblet squats primarily focuses on quads, so the front of the leg. Romanian deadlift primarily focuses on glutes and hamstrings, which is the back of the leg. And it's the same with the upper body. Press-ups focuses on the front of the body with the chest. Bent over row focuses on the back of the body with the back. So we've got 4 movements, 2 upper, 2 lower, but they are opposite sides. Okay, that means we hit all the major muscle groups within this session. If we hit all the major muscle groups for 3 to 5 sets, 2 to 3 times a week, we're golden, and it doesn't require much time. So this is how a compound set works. Think of it like a circuit. We're going to do goblet squat, lower body, 10 to 15 reps. Rest 30 seconds, and then we do press-ups. Upper body, 8 to 12 reps. Rest 30, Romanian deadlift, which is our lower, again 10 to 15 with a 30-second rest. Bent over row is our last upper body, 8 to 12, and we rest 90. So we rest 30 in between. At the end of the set, we rest for 90. And that's one round. And let's say, for argument's sake, that it takes 30 seconds to complete each of the reps and the movements. That's 5 minutes. One set is 5 minutes. And knowing that is fantastic because you can then look at your time available and say, I've only got 15 minutes, but I can do 3 sets of this. I can do 3 sets and I'm getting the minimum requirement in 15 minutes. If I can do that 2 to 3 times a week, spot on. However, if you have a bit more time and you want to do 4 sets, or even 5 sets, that's only 20 to 25 minutes. Compared to the 60 to 90 you typically think you need to do, it's a massive difference. The second structure is very similar. The intent is the same. It's resistance 2 to 3 times a week. It's full body, and we would still hit 4 different movements within this session, 2 being upper, 2 being lower, and then being antagonists. Theoretically, you could use exactly the same movements I've just talked about. The only difference is that this one is more resistance focused. In that, the set that I had before, the compound sets, because we have short rests in between, we're going to have some elevated heart rate, which is not a bad thing. It's a little bit of extra cardio, but it might mean that you can't move as much weight as you would like. And when it comes to resistance sessions and building muscle, getting strong, we want to move a decent amount of weight. So myo reps is a good alternative. It takes a lot of the cardio out and focuses more on the weight of things and the strength, the building muscle. It is a little bit more complex. So if you are unsure, drop a comment underneath the video and I'll happily reach out to you and give you a proper example that you can implement. But essentially, we take the one exercise and we do a warm-up set, really like 3 to 5 sets, just to get the movement pattern down. And then from there, we're going to put the weight where we want to, so our working weight, and do an activation set of 12 to 20 reps. Now, that is a big gap. I'll explain it in a second. From there, we go into rest pause sets. So it's 2 to 5 sets of 2 to 5 reps. And in between each of these, our rest is between 5 and 10 deep breaths. That's roughly 15 to 30 seconds. But essentially, we do our activation set, 5 to 10 deep breaths, and then we'll do our first set of however many reps, 5 to 10 deep breaths, and keep working that way. And I'll give you some examples to try and make it easier for you. So we're going to use leg press in both of these examples. In example 1, we're doing leg press, but let's say for argument's sake, we're doing it at 50 kilos. Now, I do 20 reps. I can do 20 reps at 50 kilos. And the key here is to always leave 2 reps in reserve. So if I feel like if I'm at 18 and I think I would fail at 20, so not able to do a single rep more, then I'd stop at 18 because I've got 2 reps left. That's not the case with this one. I can hit 20 and we're golden. So I take 5 to 10 deep breaths, and then I'll do my first set of 2 to 5 reps. I get up to 5 and I'm like, okay, I can do 5. So I'll take my breath and then do my second set. And the aim is to match. So I want to match. And with this example at 50 kilos, I'm able to do a full set of 20 and then 5 reps or 5 sets of 5 reps. So I stop there. We don't do any more than 5 sets. Maybe I go back the next week and I'm like, okay, I hit the top numbers for everything, so I'm going to increase the weight. So in the second example, we're doing leg press again, but we're doing leg press at 80 kilos, adding 30 on. This time I get to rep 16 and I'm like, if I carry on for a couple more, I'm hitting failing. If I get to 18, I'm failing. So we stop at 16. We've got 2 reps in reserve. I start my first set of 2 to 5 reps. I get to 4 and I think this 5th one is going to be a struggle. If I do this 5th one, I might not be able to carry on. So we stop there. We do 4. Not a problem. Take the breaths. Second set, we hit 4. Third set, we hit 4. However, on the 4th set, we get to our 3rd rep and we're like, no, I'm going to struggle to get this 4th rep out. And that's where we stop. We either stop when we get to the end of 5 sets, like we did in example 1, or we stop when we can't match the effort of the previous set. Whether that's doing 4, 4, 3 and only doing 3 sets, whether it's doing 4, 4, 4, 3 and doing 4 sets, whatever it is, we stop when either we do 5 sets or we can't match the effort. As I say, it's a bit more complex, so let me know in the comments below if you want a bit more information. And finally, this is a structure that matches with the Pomodoro method. However, it's called AMRAPs. Now, an AMRAP is, or the intent for an AMRAP is high intensity cardio. So we're not going to do this as regular. We only really want to do high intensity cardio once to twice a week. Now, the beauty of this is that depending on how we structure it, there are resistance elements in. So it's not just cardio in the sense of jump on a treadmill and go for it. We can incorporate movements that require like dumbbells, kettlebells, barbells, essentially weights that require resistance. And that gives us a little bit extra in terms of our muscle building, muscle endurance side of things. Now, with an AMRAP, it's brilliant because you pick your time frame. Ideally, we want to go between 10 and 20 minutes. But if you only have 12 minutes available to you, set a 12-minute AMRAP. If you have 16 minutes, set a 16-minute AMRAP. As I say, it just wouldn't go beyond 20. And what we want to do is pick between 2 to 5 movements. These movements can be from like cardio, they can be lower body resistance, upper body resistance, whatever. My personal favorite structure for these, which is really nice and easy to do in the gym or at home, is to pick a cardio movement, a lower body movement, and an upper body movement and go from there. Once you've got your movements, we set the reps, and essentially we want to work through those reps and those rounds as many times in the time frame. So let's say you pick a 20-minute AMRAP, and these are the movements you've picked. You're doing a row, walking lunge, and a dumbbell push press. The row, you set yourself a 200 meters target, walking lunges, 16 reps, push press, 10 reps. All of that is one round. You essentially press go on your 20-minute timer, you do a round, and once you've done one round, you go back to the start. You go back to the row, work your way through, and you do as many rounds as you can in that 20 minutes. Now, the beauty of this is not only do we have this kind of small focused time frame, just like the Pomodoro method, but also it's repeatable. You could do this first time and maybe get 4 rounds. And then when you go back to it a month, 2 months later, and you give it a go, exactly the same time frame, exactly the same weights, you might get 8. You might double the amount of rounds that you do in that time frame. And that just shows you the improvements you're making within your health and fitness. It's a really fantastic structure. So to say, set your time, as many rounds as possible in that time of the movements you set. And there we go. Just to summarize, if you right now are in a position where you would love to double your energy level, double your productivity, double your focus, feel feel comfortable in your clothes again, whilst boosting your confidence both within yourself and outwardly, so that you perform better in business and earn more money, then these are the 3 steps. Going to optimize our schedule to find time available. Going to boost productivity to essentially create more time by getting our work done quicker and more effectively. And then with our newfound time, we are going to put in exercise structures that are time efficient, time effective, in order to get you the results with as little extra effort as possible. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. A masterclass like this, they always end with a pitch. And you'd be right. I am going to pitch. However, I am doing something different because I'm not pitching my paid offer. I'm not selling you anything today. What I do want to tell you about is the fact that I offer free coaching. And this free coaching is in the way of a 30-minute coaching call, just like this, where we can talk about you and your goals, your current outlook with regards to your schedule, and where we can optimize and implement some 20% habits to yield 80% of the results. Because time efficient exercise is not the only thing to focus on. We can focus on our movement outside of it. We can focus on sleep routines, nutrition, mindset, whatever it is. There are lots of things within that 20% that we can focus on. And if you are currently struggling to know what to do in order to feel healthier, feel more energized, and to shrink your waistline, then I can help. The only caveat to this is that I ask to record it, because I will use these coaching calls as a way to create content and show other people what they can do with their health and fitness. If you're not comfortable being on camera, that's fine, because I'll record it and just take the audio. If you really don't like the audio, then I'm afraid the coaching call is not going to be for you. But if you drop me a message or drop a comment in the underneath the video, I'll reach out and help you there. Alternatively, you can go to my LinkedIn, which I'll show in a second. If you don't get time to scan this and whatever, you can go back on the video. Alternatively, you can go to any of my other social media platforms. So obviously I'm here on YouTube at Adam Housley T3. You can also find me on LinkedIn, where I'm posting daily tips and advice to help you double your energy and shrink your waistline without doubling your workload. And if you prefer, if you're not on LinkedIn or whatever, you can get me on Instagram as well. So if you would like to reach out, but you don't want that coaching call, hit me up on either LinkedIn or Instagram, and I will get back to you, help you in the DMs. Thank you very much for your time. Ran over a little bit, but I'm sure it's all good. You can skim through it. Put it on 1.5. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next masterclass.